Okay, and then one final question. Let's say one of your family members who has repented and is a part of the church and the God and the Bible that you follow died in the 9/11 bombings. How would you feel about their death?
Well, they didn't. It's a hypothetical without meaning. So it doesn't deserve an answer, with all respect. Now, ask me if they died. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of one of his saints. But the fact is, nobody who I know to be an obedient servant of God, serving him, walking faithfully with him, I know of no such person who died in that tragedy. I know of no such person who's died in any of these shooting tragedies. So it's a hypothetical that has no meaning in my understanding of the Bible, and therefore it would be a meaningless answer if I gave you one.
So none of the people in the 9/11 bombings who died, you think, were repented or...
I have no evidence of that.
So you can't say no?
I can only tell you I have no evidence of that.
Okay.
I'm not in charge of where they end up, and the Lord knows every heart. If there was one, and they're in heaven, they love the Bible and everything it teaches today.
Okay. Well then, for them, do you think that you'd feel bad that they died?
I feel bad that they all died. I feel sorrow for all of them. I don't know how else to say that. Every tragedy and sorrowful thing that befalls mankind should be a source of sorrow for all of us. It's like what I said earlier about us all sinning. It's sorrowful. Now what? Wallow in it? Make an idol of the dead body? Make an idol of the sight? Or humble ourselves? You know, if I had a loved one who tragically was killed, a child, a grandchild, the furthest thing from my mind would be any talk like this. I would have one uppermost thought in my mind. What do I need to do different as it comes to serving the Lord? What do I need to understand? When my dad died, that was the only thing. Now, what do I do to do right by the Lord in this matter? So that's why, for example, we had no funeral. It would have been the absolute most offensive thing we could have done to the Lord, was have a funeral. I didn't care. You know how many words were uttered about my dad's death? I couldn't possibly have read them all. I wasn't interested in one of them. One thing. What is my duty to the Lord right this minute about the death of my father? That's all I cared about. Of course it was sorrowful.
Did it actually, are you saying there was like a specific thing you thought of doing afterwards?
I thought of getting my heart right with him, being clear in my understanding about his death, and what I should think about that, what I should learn from that, what I should take from that. I went down into that well about his death. Not, what's the world saying about him? Not, let's go have a funeral and eulogize him. None of that. But absolutely not a thought in those terms.
So it's about what I would learn from...
Right.
Do you want to say a bit about what
I learned?
Is it too personal? Or?
Well, I mean, I don't know that it's too personal. He's a human. That was, the Lord set the bounds of his habitation. He set the manner of his death. Whether he's in heaven or hell is now a done deal. It's a decided matter. Don't put your stock in any human. All this notion that that's who... I remember distinctly thinking, now the world is going to have to stop attributing this work to a human. That's one thing the Lord did with that. Now this church has to keep going. Now we've got to help all these loved ones here. Now we've got to be crystal clear in our words to these young people about why we're not having a funeral. Things like that.
Okay,
and
so,
of course,
yeah.
you know, my own well about my dad, that type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And what the Lord did with him, the work he did with him. Those are the types of thoughts I had.
Yeah.
And contemplating, you know, just that sort of thing. I certainly wasn't interested in eulogizing him. That would have just been wrong.
But you had your own private bereavement.
Oh, no question.
Grief process.
Oh,
whatever.
sure. Look, grief is a very real thing. I'm not questioning that.
Yeah.
And we all experience it. But the question is, then what? Then what?
Then what?
Yeah.
Other questions?